team. Then Amanda is an artist manager as well. Hey, Amanda. Also, Amanda, where are you from?
I'm currently in Orlando, Florida.
Nice. Cool. Nice to
I was just there in February,
Yeah, it's
actually.
nice to meet you, hon.
You were just in Florida, Hunter?
In February, before the pandemic. Yeah, I did like a conference in
Oh,
Orlando. A
okay.
World Scout, I think was the company.
Was it in Orlando?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I wish I would have known about it. I would have went.
Yeah, it was fun. It was cool.
Okay.
And then Amanda manages David. Is that right?
Yep.
Hey,
He's in
David.
here
Hello,
too.
David.
Nice to meet you. And then we've got GK. Hey, GK. GK is a singer-songwriter.
What's going on, man?
GK, where are you from again? Oh, you're muted.
I'm from Los Angeles. Hi, everybody.
Same.
Good to have you
I
back.
feel very sorry for you because I'm also in Los Angeles, and
Oh, yeah?
hey, it's getting to be something
This
else.
is, I've lived here most of my life, born and raised, basically. But yeah, I mean, it's a huge city. It's got its issues, but
Yeah.
love it. It's just an amazing city, and it
Yeah, I just
helps.
actually moved to Pasadena because
Oh,
I was in Hollywood and it was just getting really bad. But you know, crime is on the
Pasadena.
rise for sure.
Pasadena's a nice city, but there's not much out there.
Hey, you know what?
Old
I'm
Town.
into that right now. I'm into the not much out there scene. It's going good.
Old Town's pretty cool. I don't know if anybody
Yeah.
knows Old Town. And in the summers, pre-COVID, there were a lot of really great music events.
Yeah, it's a 25-minute drive into the city, so it's been easy to get. You can take 3 freeways to get there, so it's like any one of them. So it's not too bad.
Yeah, that's true. All right. I'm going to go ahead and get started. I know some other folks are trying to get on still. Tiffany, can you send Justine the link? She said she's having some trouble getting on. Cool. All right. Who else do we have on? I'm just going to say hello to Dia. Dia is part of our team. She's our music supervision expert in regards to getting all of the music supervisors onto our panels.
Nice.
Thank you, Dia.
No problem, no problem. Sorry, I'm like traveling right now, but good to see you guys, and I can't wait.
And then who else? Chris Carter is a super, super talented rapper out of Kansas City, Missouri. What's up, Chris? And then Darius McCrae is bar lyricist. That's his rapper name. And
hello.
hey,
Good.
where's your camera? Oh, you just muted yourself.
Nice.
And we'll be playing some of his music later today.
Exciting.
And, hey, Preet. I don't know if you're there. Do we have you?
Yeah. Hi.
Hey, how's it going? I don't think I've seen you on one of our events before.
Oh, this is my first time here.
Welcome.
Oh, nice. How'd you hear about the event?
Bavin reached out to my artist, Dayton James. I'm a manager. So he invited us. We looked it up and here we are. He can't be here today, so I'm just here on his behalf.
Nice. Well, thanks for joining us.
Of course.
And then we have Justine, who is my director of operations. Who's hanging out in the background. She's in the Hamptons right now.
Oh, that's unfortunate. It must be tough.
Right?
Hey.
How's it
Hello,
going?
hello. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. So thank you everybody for joining us. Bhavin, you're recording it, by the way, correct? Cool. So thank you everybody for joining us. My name is Alexia. I'm the CEO and founder of Finessed Media. And today we're joined by Hunter George, who is the executive director of the Guild of Music Supervisors, is also a very talented artist, producer, and music entrepreneur who runs his own business called Can1Live. We're very excited to host him because he'll be talking to all of us about music entrepreneurship, a little bit about get your music to larger audiences, in the film and television space. And he'll also be listening to some music for us and providing some feedback to folks who submitted today. So we're really excited to have all of you here. If you have any questions for Hunter, so I'll be starting off with an interview, and then we'll move into a Q&A. So you're welcome to ask some questions towards the end, and then we'll go into the listening session. Please make sure to keep your mics on mute and grab a pen and paper just so you can take any notes. These events are so good in regards to learning. I'm not even kidding. We've had so many amazing people on these events. We've had Trippy Red's manager, thanks to Tiffany, that's in our group today. We've had Samaj Hori, who's an A&R for Dave East. We've also had Young Tien, who's written for Lil Baby. And overall, Finessed Media really does a good job of making sure that everybody takes something away from these meetings. So at the end of the day, hopefully you get some good stuff out of it. And if you don't, then I'll give you a refund. Cool. All right. So thank you, Hunter, for joining us. I'm really excited to have you and to have connected with you through Instagram.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So I'll start off with a couple of questions and we'll move into the Q&A, but I kind of want to let the audience get to know you a little bit. So can you tell us about your background and how you really got started in the music industry?
Yeah, it's a pretty wild story. So when I was a like 18-year-old kid, I just had no idea what I wanted to do. I thought I wanted to be a lawyer or something because I saw they took us into the library and I just was like, what do you want to be? Here's what you could make. Here's what you could do. And I saw that there was like, oh, it says $80,000. That sounds like a great thing. And so, when I started going into college, I started taking all these classes, and it just was like not fun at all. And I just started realizing like what it was going to take to become pass the bar and go through all that stuff. And I just really wasn't into it. And for some reason, like I'd always played piano as a kid. So I started when I was 4, and I kind of played all through like elementary and middle school, and then stopped in high school. Was more focused on like sports and girls and partying and stuff. And then for some reason, some bug hit me. I would listen to hip hop music, like Dr. Dre and Kanye West and a bunch of these producers like Timbaland, and I would just be studying their beats. Like I couldn't get like enough, and I was trying to figure out like how are they doing this, because I had no concept of recording technology, DAWs, any of that stuff. And at the time it was really like not well known either, you know what I mean? And the softwares and stuff didn't really exist in their current forms. And but I was like, I guess you got to be a DJ. That's like what you got to do. So I started kind of like looking into that, and I started like taking records and like writing down, because I couldn't afford the equipment at the time. I was young. So I started writing down records timings. And so if I heard some sample that I liked, I would just write it in a notebook. And then I was like, when I can make music, I'll use this. So and then I started taking classes in college, and it was just really not good. It was like we were learning music recording on Sonar Cakewalk or something like that. And
what
so
is that?
What?
What is Sonar Cakewalk?
It's a really shitty program that like wants to be Pro Tools real bad, but it's not, basically. Yeah. So anyway, I started like asking around. This was the MySpace time era, so at this point, I'd been like DJing, like I bought equipment, and I started kind of getting into I'm from Reno, Nevada, so getting into like the casino circuits, and I was doing weddings, and I was doing all this other crap. And then I had a residency at a local club. I was 19 years old in a 21 and up club. And I was like literally like 130 pounds. I was like bringing milk crates in with records, and the security bouncer would be like, whoa, what are you doing here, you child? And then I'd be like, I'm DJing tonight, and then I'd have to like track down the owner, the promoter to like let me in, because the security guy wouldn't. And then so I did that for like 2 years, and then I was like, this is cool, but this is not making music. This is like playing it. So I started looking into like MySpace and like people who made beats, and I found a local guy named Idle Hands who like made these really cool like sampled tracks that like I was like, this is exactly what I want to do. And he hit me back and was like, come over on Saturday. And I did. And I would just watch him make beats, and we used an MPC, and he would chop up all these samples, and he was just doing some shit that I was like, this is exactly what the fuck I want to do. Um, and then so after a while, he kind of found out I could, play piano on track because I had started taking college courses now for piano. So I'd now shifted my major from law to and political science to applied music, piano, and history. So I was just, playing like 5 hours a day at that point. And it would be like 2 hours for school, an hour practice, and then I was now like playing on top of samples. So I was trying to hear a beat that we had chopped up, and then trying to play like a bass line that was on the track that was a little bit more pronounced, or trying to figure out the chord structure of what we had just made essentially. And so I started to get really good at that. And then I was like his understudy, but then we became full partners. And then we were like entering beat battles and winning beat battles. And that beat battle scene was like really important to my development. And then also like the development of how I can structure tracks. And that applies now to like the film and TV trailer world and the ad world and stuff. And then what we would do is we would produce like a whole album for somebody, and then I would go, he wouldn't, but I would go on tour with them as a DJ because I had been DJing for, 3 or 4 years at this point. And so we would catch the tours of like Styles of Beyond, Dale the Funky Homo Sapien, Grouch and Eli, Murs, Atmosphere, like all these people who would come through, and Reno is like really big in the underground hip hop scene, as far as like they pay a lot of money to have these acts come through because there's casinos and there's a lot of nightlife and stuff. So and then there's just a really active like music community there, then people who like to listen to hip hop. And then also like Burning Man is out there like 2 hours from Reno, so there's a big Burning Man community. And so I was actually doing a lot of stuff in the Burning Man world, or off events and stuff. And then I did an album with my partner with this guy named Apprentice, and it's to this day one of my favorite things I've ever done. And I was like just happy as a kid, like 21 years old, just like made this project. And then someone liked it so much that they converted the whole album into a full play on stage with an orchestra. The Reno Philharmonic, like 32-piece orchestra, converted our beats into like an orchestra. So I was just like, what? Like this is possible. And then so that kind of like flicked a light switch on for me. There was like 2,000 people in the audience, and I just saw like someone playing French horn, to something I made, on a synth lead or something. And then I was like, that's the future of what I want to do, like composing. And I kind of was like, when I'm 40, hip hop's not going to be like as cool, like, or I'm not going to be as cool in the hip hop world or whatever. So that's the move. And then so I like very quickly after that, like I think within like a year or so, I got my shit together, packed it in a U-Haul, and drove to Los Angeles. I kind of felt like I'd hit this like wall. And then I also like wanted to go to recording school, and I wanted to give it a real go at like just actually getting to know the technology and becoming a more prolific engineer and producer, really. And so I went to the Los Angeles Recording School, and while I was doing that, I was also working in streetwear and fashion, and I became a sneaker photographer, and I was doing marketing for this streetwear shop that did like Nike SB and Converse and Vans and all these rare like releases, sneaker releases. So I was kind of like helping kind of construct e-blasts and social media, and we had a YouTube channel, and that was in like 2009 when like YouTube wasn't very big, and we were like had hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and we were doing videos every day. And so I kind of got into that space early on, and got to kind of get my beak wet. It was a small shop, and That really helped me start to formulate two things. One was like how to like promote your shit on the internet, and create content easily, and then as well like how to create demand for that product, and working in the confines of cool. Like the streetwear community is cool, and you have to like present it in a specific way, and then you know, you're up for a review. Like sometimes they're like, this is whack, so like you have to kind of like really do it right, if you're trying to promote it. So that was something that really taught me a lot, and it was able to like pay my rent while I was going to school. But I was also utilizing all those skills towards my music, and then also like I was developing always, like, so I was always developing like graphic design skills, web design skills, things like that social media growth, and studying like the changes of how Instagram's doing stuff, and all these programs were starting to kind of unroll. Like when I started, Instagram, MySpace was still around, and Instagram hadn't like popped off yet. So I was kind of unpacking all that stuff. It was as it was happening, and then I eventually kind of graduated school, and somewhere in the midst of all that, some dude walked into my shop, and I would be in the back a lot doing the marketing and inventory stuff, but I'd also be in the front, like just selling items and hanging out. And this guy walked into my shop, and he was like, "Oh, I just got off the set of Iron Man 2," and I was like, "Oh, what?" I'm a huge Marvel fan, so I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Oh, well, I'm like the music supervisor on all the Marvel movies," and I was like, "Ah, that's cool. What is that? I don't know what that is." And then he's like, "Well, I put the soundtracks together for all these movies, and basically like clear all the songs and put them in there." And I was like, "Oh, cool. Oh, great. I make music. You should put some of my shit in there or whatever." I don't even know what I said, but something stupid. And then he was like, "Oh, cool. Take my coordinator's email down and just send me your stuff." Just being nice. And I took the email, and I sent them my music, but I didn't hit them up like really that much, because I kind of was like, I'm just gonna this is a contact that I'm going to build and develop, and he really liked sneakers, so I just kind of I had his phone number, and I just kind of kept up with him, both on two fronts. One was, if we had really cool shit coming in, I had a way to hit him up and was like, "Oh, we got these coming in. Do you want them?" So that was like, I did that for like a long time. And then I would like send them to his office, and he'd buy them or whatever, and then, or he'd come in, and then I started hitting his coordinator up and was like, "Oh, hey, yo, we've got like some sales coming up. We like Black Friday. You should come through, and I'll take you in the back, and you can, get something." So I had that kind of leverage or whatever, which was great. But then also what I was doing was I was tracking his career, and I was looking at like everything he was working on, and then when it would release, um, you guys can look on my website or my social media, but I do a lot of like comic book art, and that was something I was doing, just to kind of to generate like traction on my social media. And so every time like a Marvel movie would come out, like, and I was doing all this comic book art to just like get better at graphic design so I could do it for my music stuff. And every time he would do like a movie like Guardians of the Galaxy had started coming out, and so Marvel just started to kind of steamroll and just like catch all these like hits, because at Iron Man 2, if you guys remember, like shit wasn't like as good, like Thor 2 was a flop, Thor 1 was kind of a flop, and all these movies were kind of like treading, like Hulk didn't know what it wanted to do with itself, and but then like Avengers 1 came out, and then all of a sudden like Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, it just started to really pick up steam. And so I would be sending him like prints of stuff I had done. Like I did a Star-Lord thing, and I'd sign it and just say congrats on the success, because it was like a soundtrack success, and a bunch of other things. So that was keeping me on his like radar, I think. And when I finally graduated from school, now I was an engineer, and I was a producer, and I was working on my first album, and he was like, what do you, like, he took me, I took a meeting with him. He allowed me to take a meeting with him. And then he was like, what do you want to do? And I was like, well, I want to do this and I want to do that. And I do this and I do this. And I'm in marketing. And he's like, look, it sounds like you're kind of like a jack of all trades, but a master of none. And he's like, what do you want? You know? And so I was just like, well, I think I want to be in the composing space. I want to get like kind of grow into that realm. And you know, that line hit me. Like I was like, jack of all trades, but master of none. But I want to be a master of all these things. So that was something that kind of like hit me hard, and I was like I'll show him, you know, I'll get him. But at that point, like, you know, obviously like music wasn't paying my bills either, and so I was kind of like, I have to do this shit, you know. And so I started a company with a partner of mine at the store that did like consulting, and it's like a freelance collective of individuals that do visual media and content creation for artists and companies, and that was like really paying my shit. And at the same time, he helped me get a internship with a composer named Christopher Leonards, and that composer at the time had just done the movie Ride Along with Ice Cube. And he was starting to work with Alan Menken, and he was doing something with J.J. Abrams, and so it was just like really cool. He built this like studio called Sonic Fuel Studios, and it's just this like big compound where like a couple composers work out of, and then there's like a music software VST company called Cinesamples, and they have like an orchestra room and a live room. So it was just a really great space for me to like develop professionally in a small environment. It was in El Segundo, so it's kind of isolated. And so all of that kind of helped me, and I got to watch him work on like some really big movies, and then he started to get like bigger movies as it was coming along, and now he's done like Sausage Party and The Boys on Amazon. Then he did the Lost in Space series on Netflix. So he started to really pick up as I was kind of coming through, and then I left that place. There was just no vacancy for employment, so I left that after about like 6 or 7 months. My internship ended, and then I started working for this Japanese rock star, and that put me into a place where his name was Yoshiki, and that put me into this international like rock music space, and he's one of the largest. He has like one of the largest rock bands in the world, let alone you know, mostly Japan is where they're known, but yeah, she loves X Japan. Sweet. Yeah, so I worked for Yoshiki for about a year, and he had like a deal with Stan Lee and Hello Kitty, and so now I'm like developing a show with Stan Lee, and I'm like meeting with Stan Lee, and I'm in the comic book world. And he sold out Madison Square Garden, so I'm now doing like visuals for all these like campaigns. So I'm doing stuff with like Total Assault and you know, Times Square, you know, is putting these billboards up, and Madison Square Garden. And so my visual media profile is just booming at this point. You know, it just kicked me into like a whole new level. Oh, you went to their Madison Square Garden show? That's amazing. So I did all the visual stuff for that. Like so that, yeah, so, and I was working here in LA, but so I worked with him. But then the reason I bring that up is that like my music supervision and composing shit ended kind of after I didn't get the job at the composing place, and you know, I was still in touch with them, but I don't have a job here. So but this dude, like in the boardroom, we were like meeting, and I think I was probably giving a presentation on the results of how we did in Madison Square Garden. And this guy like is in there with me, and he slides his card underneath the table after I'm done. And I was like, I guess I did a good job. And I'm looking at it, and it says Jonathan McHugh. And for those of you who don't know who Jonathan McHugh is, he's like a really legacy music supervisor that did like Rush Hour, and he produced Crossroads with Britney Spears. He did the Justin Bieber documentary. He did like Blade and Spawn and Empire Records, and just like all these major movies that I was like big into when I was a kid. Money Talks and Austin Powers. And so I actually got fired from Yoshiki's job, which was not uncommon there. And I was like pretty pissed about that. And then they're like, just call the Jonathans. when I was being released, and I was like, okay, cool. And I call them, and then the next day they hired me, and then they're like, we like what you've been doing, like don't worry about all that noise, and they hired me like literally the next day. So I'm now working doing the exact same thing for Yoshiki that I was. Now I'm doing it for all these artists like that they have on their roster because they were helping to kind of like manage his day-to-day operations or whatever. And so I'm just like now I'm directing music videos and I'm doing all this other stuff, but I'm also learning more about music supervision and that stuff. And they kind of paired that role with another role because Jonathan McHugh, I didn't know this at the time, but he's also the secretary of the Guild of Music Supervisors. So all of that long journey to come to this point, and he's like, well, we need a social media guy. And I'm like, oh, cool. I can do that for sure because I was just doing it for like a guy who has 1 million followers on social media, and now I'm doing it for like 15,000. You know what I mean? Like this is a no-brainer. But I say all of that to say like I wouldn't have gotten into that door through any other means through music or through my stupid like I'm a beat maker. I'm a composer wannabe. I got it through like I can do marketing, I can do social media, I can do all this stuff. So I came through kind of a side door, and that role eventually evolved into two things. One was I became the executive director, and now I kind of run like sponsorship. So now I'm in touch with every publisher, label, all these other companies, as well as like every music supervisor in the business. But I would never have had that opportunity had I not have proven a skill that other people were like, well, I'm just a music supervisor. I'm just a composer, blah, blah, blah. So, like another thing that did was the president of the guild. His name is John Houlihan. He and I just kind of were like kindred spirits. Like we just kind of hit it off. Like I just like I get you, you get me. Like I started calling him every day. Like what do you need? What do you need? What do you need? And just doing whatever the guild was that. But that kind of evolved into a relationship where he was kind of like, well, I don't know if it's in your like your goals because he knew I wanted to make music or whatever, or be a composer. He's like, but I need a coordinator for a series I'm working on called Training Day. It's a spin-off of the original movie that I did 20 fucking years ago at this point. And then for those of you who don't know John Houlihan, he did Training Day, but he also did John Wick 1 and 2, Deadpool 1 and 2, like The Shape of Water, all the way back to like Austin Powers and a bunch of just probably 100 films. But basically, between the three people that I just mentioned, like I somehow fell into the realm of being like, those are like some of the top music supervisors in the business, and just kind of like through my bumbling through LA. And this is over the course now of, at that point, it's like 7 years I've been here. So it's a long road. I'd gone to school. I'd met a lot of idiots and a lot of people who, you know, don't do this seriously or flake or, you know, just a lot of like sketchy people, as you guys probably have all experienced. And that's also coming from this fucking world of hip hop, which you all know, like getting paid for gigs and fucking just basic level shit just was really not popping sometimes. So you know, it was a long road, but like through the squirming and side doors and journey, I've now kind of like been taken under the wing of all these bigger folks, and I started working on some shows and films with John, and uh, he took. I was working with him for 3 years, and I was working with Jonathan McHugh simultaneously for 3 years. So I'm now kind of working between these two guys, and I did a lot of stuff with them. And then John got an opportunity to take a role with Fox, and he'd done a lot of stuff with Fox as an independent, but they wanted him as the SVP of Fox Music, and there's a couple of people who do that for a job. But so I kind of decided to not go with him, and I started kind of like realizing I hadn't made music in 3 years. So and that was some shit that I was just like not prepared to do, and you know, at this point, you know, what the job of a music coordinator is it's basically like, you know, you work with the supervisor, you kind of go through all these scripts, you kind of mark the scripts up and see where music would be good in the film or the TV show. You basically get like a budget. So let's say the budget is like for a show, a major show is like $100,000 an episode, which is really high, but I've seen it, and that would mean that that's like a 1 million or $1.3 million budget, depending on how many episodes. So your job as the coordinator, and keeping in mind most supervisors are working on like 7 projects or more, is to really manage that budget and work with, you go into like spotting sessions with the director of the show, or they call him the showrunner, the writer usually, and like maybe some producer or an executive producer. Like for me, it was like the executive producer at Bruckheimer Films, and so like when they come in, it's like oh shit, we got to button up here, and then you're in with like the composer and maybe a music editor or an editor, so that you're in a room with these people and everyone's kind of making music decisions. And a lot of times it's like, hey, the writer will be like, I want an Americana track here. I'm thinking like, whatever, or like I want like Miley Cyrus. My 13-year-old daughter loves Miley Cyrus, so we need this in there in this track, or whatever. So a lot of it's that, and a lot of it's like the music supervisor saying like, okay, I think I read the script. I've got 3 choices here, like before anyone gets in. And then sometimes the music editor will be cutting to film, uh, and they'll be putting in temp tracks, and or the editor themselves will put in temp tracks to edit to, and the director's like, oh, I fucking love this track. It's great. And then you find out it's like, like AC/DC or some shit, and you're like, that's gonna cost you $60,000, dude. So anyway, your job, and sometimes they're like, well, I don't care, I want it, so take it. And so you go in, and it's episode 1, and you go in to get that AC/DC track, and your $100,000 budget now becomes 40, and then now you have 10 songs that you need still, and then so you can see like how when you're like, oh, they have $100,000, they must be killing it, but like you still want like a Nelly track, or like Jadena is gonna get a hit, or like some of these like major artists are still coming in. So your $100,000 budget after like 4 or 5 like majors is like 15,000, and then now you got to like pay all these indies, like and I know like for instance John had like some guys who are like his go-to, and they're like, he's like, I've got 5 grand for this placement, and it's like a nightclub scene, and there's music playing in the background. Can you make me something? And then they'll go, yep, and then they'll make it, and then they'll send that shit, and then the next day it's done. And he does that for all of his stuff, and every supervisor works that way. And so, and then there's like library tracks. So like the library tracks, it could be like, $800, and something along those lines. So once you kind of see the breakdown of a budget, all these, indie artists are like, why aren't we making as much? Well, that's why is AC/DC made all that money, and you're negotiating with, Sony ATV or Warner Chappell, and they don't really do negotiation. They go, here's the fee. If you want it, it's 9 grand a side or whatever, and you pay that, and you say thank you, sir, may I have another. Um, and then sometimes if you do like mass volume with folks, that can change this spectrum. So like let's say I do 10 tracks with Warner Chappell, maybe on one track you're like, dude, I'm literally out of money. Can you cut this down by like 5 grand? And then sometimes they'll do that. But that's the long and short of it in that sense. But I really realized like I hadn't made music, so I started kind of like getting into that space, and I put out a project called routines.exe. It's a 21 track instrumental album. I put it out. It took me about 2 or 3 years to make it, and then I put it out last year, and then now I'm working on a remix of that album with 15 tracks with artists. So I'm working with independent songwriters and artists just to kind of put together something that will be pitched to music supervisors and publishing folks, and but the goal of it is to kind of make some way in media music. So that's kind of the long and short of that. But
Hunter, you answered all of the questions I had for you, and for the interview portion of it, you went into pretty much everything that I wanted to ask you about. So I kind of want to open up the floor to the audience to see what kinds of questions that they have. Is that all right with you?
Yeah, of course.
Cool. So if you have any questions, then just raise your hand. You can use the reaction button at the bottom, and I'd be more than happy to let you unmute yourself and ask a question. Oh, wait, actually, before we ask questions, Hunter, I still want to know, how did you end up becoming a car salesman?
Oh yeah, so I just did some really like not great jobs back in the day. My first job was for $6 an hour cleaning gym equipment at a gym, and I ended up working at that gym for like 5 years, and I worked at like in membership and in like the front desk and a fitness instructor, and so that was like my first. I was 16 to like 22. And then in the midst of that, I quit and came back and all this stuff. But I worked in like telemarketing. I worked in sheet metal fabrication. And then I sold cars. I think it was like one of my sister's boyfriends was like one of the managers at this dealership, Scion dealership. And then so I sold cars for about a year. And then the economic crash in 2008 hit, and so we weren't selling very many cars anymore, and so I left there. And that was another reason why it got me kind of into doing a job that's not traditional, because the real one was like the sheet metal job. That killed me. Like it just ripped me up, like, and I just kind of like realized this is not what I want to do. And there's some people that were doing that job that just like, were having like drug problems, and it was just like not the place that I was like, this is not where I want to be headed, and I just decided like I want to do this for a living. So even though it's hard, to me it's like, would I rather be doing this hard thing or this other hard thing that I fucking hate, and so and that's no slight to anyone who does it for a living, or a hard job for a living, and you kind of have to do jobs that you don't want to do to pay rent, to make the shit happen, no matter what, unless you're a prince or something, which is cool. But most of us are just regular folks, so um, you know, that's why it got me into this.
You have a very interesting background, Hunter.
I
But
have
now,
an odd background, yes.
but you're a jack of all trades and master of many.
That's true. I put that one back on him, I think, but in a nice way.
Cool. So if you have a question in the audience, feel free to raise your hand. I'll go ahead and allow you to unmute yourself. GK, I see you first. I'm going to go ahead and pick you.
Hello. Yeah, I was wondering if it ever occurs in music supervision, or if it's somewhere else, regarding songs on spec for sound alike or sounds like. So if like AC/DC, if that's what someone wants in the film or the visual project, and they don't want to spend 60,000, there's other ways of cutting the own a version of that song or something that kind of has that feel. How often that might happen?
Yeah, for sure. It happens every day. AC/DC is expensive, and most music budgets aren't $100,000. I just usually go that route for mathematical division purposes, so I can just reduce the budget, visibly. But sometimes you have like 20K and you want 10 songs, and you're not getting AC/DC, you're not getting Kanye West at all. So there's a lot of resources though, so the first thing that supervisors usually go towards is like the library space, because the library space have hundreds of thousands of tracks that will definitely find an AC/DC sound alike. But yes, there are some really talented kind of custom music makers, and that's essentially like what happens is a music supervisor puts a what they call a brief out, and I'm sure you guys have seen a brief at some point in your journeys, and then everyone goes, oh, we got to get this done today, and floods to go after it, and a lot of people start trying to make music that's not in their wheelhouse, and it shows. So when the supervisors get the music back, also like let's say shoot the noise or six shooter records or some kind of like Americana, whatever the brief is, there's some label or publisher that's like known for that sound. So a lot of times the person that's like an independent music maker, unless it's like specifically in their wheelhouse, it's going for that brief. Um, they're likely not going to get that gig unless it's like they somehow come up with some really compelling shit. But because there's some niche indie publisher or library that just like has the sounds. So what I would implore as artists and managers and music makers is to just kind of fit in the realm that you are most suited for and not try to hit briefs that are like way out of your wheelhouse because you're just kind of wasting a lot of time on your own and the supervisor's time, unless you're doing it for the purposes of like diversifying and getting better at the craft. Otherwise, if you're chasing briefs, it might be difficult. You know what I mean? And also, if you're a manager or an artist, like or you own like an independent library, like be known for something that is a specific niche because that way, like um, like someone that you'll be known as a resource for supervisors or for folks in media. And as well, like if you don't have the track, don't send something that's not the track because you'll likely never be responded to again because you missed the brief or you kind of didn't take the suggestion of the supervisors and so um, if you say, "Oh yeah, you know what? Sorry, I don't have that, but please keep me in mind for the next one." That's better than saying, "Here's this track," and then it's like a waste of time. So just keep that in mind. Just because a lot of supervisors are really cool and nice, but a lot of supervisors are like, "I don't have time for this shit," bink, and then they'll just delete the emails, and that's kind of why you never hear back from them.
TT,
So
does that answer your
just
question?
Yeah, oh yeah, that was great. Thank you. I was wondering, how does one go about getting their hands on briefs?
yeah. There's a couple ways. There's a couple like sync agents and groups and stuff on Facebook and stuff. You can kind of look into those. I think there's a couple. There's like Catch the Moon, and then there's like What Up Pitches, and those are kind of what I consider like starter things. But you should really look into like some sync agents that are um, more established with supervisors that have been around and it's very hard to get relationships with supervisors, especially this day and age, because they're so flooded, and unless you meet them, it really Catch the Moon, or it's called Six Figure Songwriting. I think it's a course, but it's a really big songwriter community. But the thing is like, if you are trying to actively network and meet supervisors, it's possible. The Guild is a great place for that, but the Guild also doesn't like people who are out there pitching their music or their artists during events and stuff. So, you know, um, and that's something like I get it because like I'm an artist, so I would be instinctually wanting to do that. And I told you about Dave Jordan and all that and how I did that. But now I've kind of learned the right way to do it. And I never pitch my stuff and never have as the executive director unless I have a really close, trusted relationship over the course of 7 years. Um, but I'm not out giving my flash drives to people or whatever at events. And I see it all the time. And honestly, it's not like, ooh, get them out of here. It's more like they're going to get themselves out of here because like the supervisors are going to start making a name for them as a pitcher and, talk about you in a bad way. And so I always am trying, like, as the executive director of the guild, I'm always kind of on a course correction tour of like, look, I'm an artist, I'm a music producer, I'm in the music supervision space, so don't do that. Do it this way, and then like I'm on a course correction tour to like help you guys with etiquette and it is possible to develop and build relationships and network and be in that realm. Um, but you just got to be cool and do it the right way and see that it's a longer game. So when you meet a supervisor, don't pitch your music to them right away. Just say like, I'd love to stay in contact with you, or I want to find out more about what you do, and take them, well, not now, but like aside from pandemic, like take them out from coffee, or something along those lines, where you can kind of get into like hearing more about their job, and empathize with them, and be cool and be friendly with them. And then over time, the thing is, like, the supervisors aren't really into the business of what can the supervisor do for you. The supervisor wants to hear what can you do for him or her, and not in like a weird way, but in like a, how do you make my job easier? And if you do that, I will continue or even start to work with you. Otherwise, like, I don't have time. I get literally 100 fucking pitches in my email a day, because all the major labels, all the publishing companies, all the indie libraries, all the individuals that, the thing is, sometimes people sell fucking email lists of these supervisors, and all these indie songwriters now have their emails. And so you have to imagine, like, the delete button just getting hit all the time, and they're not getting open. And so you have to find a way to be cool and be friendly and be like someone that they like, oh, I remember you from the mixer. Yeah, cool. Nice to see you again. So that's kind of like a much, for me, and the way I've gone through it, and the way a lot of my colleagues have gone through it, over the course of years, that's, to me, the better way. Instead of burning yourself out in one event and fucking that supervisor will never talk to you again. So it's just really about etiquette, and being cool,
Yeah,
and
there's a lot.
somehow getting on there.
I'll add to that too. Coming from someone who's worked with a lot of entertainment folks and a lot of executives, even in other industries, keep in mind, when you all are pitching in any way, shape, or form, it's really important to develop that relationship a lot of the times first.
Yeah.
Either develop that relationship first, or you better have a really, really solid pitch to send over. Because even for a position like mine, where I'm very open to listening to folks' music, I'm sure, Hunter, you probably get people who submit music to you as well.
Yeah.
When
And I listen to it, honestly. I always give feedback. I don't mind that, but it's like,
Mhm.
I'm not going to put it in something, most likely, at the moment, or maybe at the moment I don't have anything, but like, I still listen, you know what I mean? Or if I can. So
Yeah. And so just keep that in mind when you guys are sending music or sending anything to anyone. Just make sure that when you're sending something, you have a really good pitch, or you're also, well, remember that people are humans behind
yeah,
the computer, and that'll help you a lot. And it helps a lot when you're also thinking like, how can I help them? How can I get this to be appealing to them? Because if you're only sending a name and and some music, and you're not even saying hello, then more often than not, people aren't even going to respond to you.
yeah.
But,
And
I'm
come
gonna
from a place of like education, like you want to learn more. But like, I gotta be honest, every single person in this room doesn't know shit about the music business, and I don't either. And it's one of those things
Yeah.
that, like, we've only been, and I don't mean to be mean, but I just mean, like, everyone can be learning things all the time. And if if everyone comes in with like, oh, I'm the hot shit, my ego, blah blah blah, da da da, and like, when I was young, I used to have that same attitude, and I just really, like, quickly got humbled, and I'm learning new stuff every day, and I feel like I'm like, I'm building my own road brick by brick, and then everything else is just unknown bullshit. And I'm learning from these people who have been doing this since fucking 1994. Like, what am I gonna do? You know what I mean? I don't know, 7 when they were started making music for movies. You know what I mean? Like, okay, that means like just sit down and be quiet on the couch and watch the grown-ups do the work. 'Cause that's kind of how I feel. And so when it comes to like interacting, it's just kind of like, wow, it's even cool that, and I've been doing this again, like, in as a guild person for like 7 years. It's even cool now that they're still talking to me, or respond to my texts or emails or whatever. I'm just like, whoa, this is fucking weird. You know what I mean? So like, if they do and you get their time, it's like, wait, so like, you better make it count, I guess. You know what I mean? and I'm still like a child. Like, I've worked on every studio in the business, and when they fucking open the gate at like Paramount or Warner Brothers, I'm like, yo, I literally wanted to be a fucking animaniac as a child. So like, you know what I mean? Like hanging out in the water tower. So for me, it's like I'm always just childlike as far as be like how this business is. So
Hmm.
and I always look like I could be doing sheet metal right now. You know what I mean? Covered in fucking glue and insulation and cut with metal and just like, in a air duct, just gluing it up. Or I could be doing this. So that's kind of where I'm at with my career, and I think I'll probably have that for a good amount of time, at least hopefully forever.
Julia says, always be a student of the game.
Yeah,
Yep, definitely.
strong
Yep.
agree.
Ezra, I see you have a question. Go for it.
Yeah. Well, first, just wanted to say thank you for the info. It's been really useful and very relatable. So I have a couple questions. Just, did you ever feel overwhelmed being a jack of all
Oh,
trades?
every fucking day, dude. The problem is like when you do shit like stuff that you don't want to do. Like for instance, I don't really want to be building websites for people, but I just know that there's money in that, or social media or whatever. It's like I'd rather be at like making music right now or getting it in a film or whatever. So that's overwhelming. Also, like doing freelance stuff. Is a very peak and valley. I'm sure you guys all know. Like sometimes there's a lot of sorry, the sun's like doing some weird shit right now. A lot of money coming in at once, and then none for way too long, and then or maybe a little bit of money, and so you're always on that like peak and valley of like, am I going to even have rent? It's the 29th. I don't even have it. And so I have to figure out in 3 or 4 days, like I have to chase down some invoices that I have had out for fucking 2 months or 3 months or whatever, and so there's that vibe. Overwhelming is an understatement in terms of being a music coordinator or music supervisor because you're working on like $1 million project or something like that, and then if anything goes wrong, like the lawyers of fucking Pharrell or Daft Punk are coming after you, and not really after you, but the studio, and then but like it still means that you'll never work for that studio again if a lawsuit happens, or like the amount of work that it takes to clear one song. Do you guys know about that clearance process? I might like need to tell you about it for
Yeah,
sure.
you should tell them a little bit about it. I think some
Okay.
people in here would find that helpful.
So Ezra, you have a song, and let's say you did a song with like three co-writers, and you're signed to Ezra Brown Records or something, and it's a major, let's say. Um, so I gotta go, like someone put the song in the show, and I gotta find it now. So my first step is to go to BMI or ASCAP to see if it's even registered on there, and I go to the repertoire section, and I find out that it's like, it's got three writers. One of them's with Warner Chappell. Let's say you're with like Sony ATV, and then another writer's with Universal. That sounds fun. That means I have to go to three labels or publishers to fucking clear this song now. And I go, and I have a quote request form that breaks down the scene that is in, how long the use of the song, let's say it's 15 seconds, and what's happening in the scene, and what episode of the show, and sometimes there's like a little description or whatever. And then I send to you, or let's say your manager or whomever, I send to the other artists and some songwriter that you worked with, and then I send it to the master rights holder, which would be, let's say in essence it's your record label. So that's four documents, and that's a standard like 33%, Nashville split is what they call that. So now I have to get all four of these fucking parties to say, let's say I have like $2,000 for this hit, or let's say I have 10,000, it's a major, something like that. I have to get all of them to say yes to the amount that either if it's a major, like the publisher will come back and say, we want 9 grand for this, and then it'll say MFN, which is what, most favored nations, meaning if the co-publisher or the master says a higher amount, we get the fucking higher amount no matter what, and that's what MFN means. So if you're working with your, if you work, let's say like Ezra, you worked with a major artist, you would just on your quote just say MFN with master or pub, and then that way you get, well, like let's say you work with fucking Kendrick Lamar, like you get Kendrick Lamar money, not like whatever amount you wrote doesn't matter now. You get, let's say,
Oh, Hunter, can you hear us still? Looks like he lost signal. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's give him.
because like you're back and forth and you're
Oh,
going to.
Hunter, you broke up for a second.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, that clearance process is like really intense. So you're going back and forth to the master, and you have to get everyone to agree. And let's say you're missing the real hard thing is you're missing a co-writer or something, and you're not hearing back from them, or something along those lines. So you're missing like 12% of a song, and then if you don't get that 12%, you can't license it because it's a legal liability. So you're kind of doing like a thing where you have like a mini panic attack every day. So for me, like the music coordinating thing is like super overwhelming, and then many other reasons, but for sure. So yeah, it's a process,
Hunter
Gotcha.
and I were having this conversation. Was it just before this about how was it before this, or was this when I spoke to you on the phone about how entrepreneurship is like
Yeah. I think it was
anxiety attacks all the time. Is that helpful, Ezra? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, definitely. And just another thing, I guess it kind of relates, but you mentioned samples earlier.
Oh
Is
yes.
that in terms of clearances as well? Is that a similar process? And do you still sample from other songs now in your
That's a great
process?
question. That's like probably the best question asked all day, because it's very important. I bet a lot of you guys are doing hip hop, or manage people who do hip hop. Number one is don't sample major records if you can avoid it, unless you have a label connection, or like the most or the best example would be if you are signed to a library, label, or publisher that has a roster of like legacy artists or catalog, and they allow you to sample that, and you can get away with it because they represent you and the client that you're sampling. That's the way to go, if you can get into that realm. If not, use like the new age of like Splice and the easy clear or like license free or whatever samplers. Just because like when I was a kid, I would just be like, oh, this fucking Gladys Knight record is dope. Let me just pop this in and chop it up, and it's gonna blow up, and this is just not the case, and so that's sad because I really liked that realm as a kid, but now all the music I make mostly is just me, all me playing it, or I'll bring in a musician now. So I just brought in a Grammy-nominated trumpet player to play some sick shit that I'm not good enough to play myself. I'm kind of using that realm. Um, I'm big on Splice. I just don't use it that much, but as a person who's done clearance, like that kind of thing is like super, super, super important, and um, will avoid any really big problems because anytime, even with like a major song, like if there's a fucking sample in it, like Kanye West is a quit clear, is what they call, or quit claim is what they call it. And the studio will go, nope, we're not using that because it's going to be a lawsuit. Because you're dealing with Kanye West and all of the writers of that, like Kanye West works with fucking John Legend too, or like Nicki Minaj on tracks. So you got to go all of that, and then you got to go down to like get like Aretha Franklin and all that shit too. Like it's just a problem, and a lot of times they want like way more money than the artist wants. The problem is all those beats that were made in the early 2000s and 90s, they didn't fucking do any work on the copyright front. So, you know, it's just something to stay away from. I'd say, unless you have a resource that you know, clearance wise, you can kind of navigate. You know, so
Cool.
Thank you.
I've got a comment on that actually. If you guys
sure.
don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
I would actually say not even to shy away from using samples, because sometimes you just never know. I mean, for example, with me, one of my latest cuts was a song by Our Swedish artist. She signed to Columbia, but she wasn't signed to Columbia when we actually made this song. So we actually sampled the Diddy and May song. You know, song "Tell Me What You Want From Me." Take a look at what we was just
Yeah,
literally
yeah.
playing around in the studio, and we wrote that, but we kind of rewrote it a tiny bit. And we just like, you know, let's just send it out and see what happens. And we ended up getting it cleared. So now I've got a songwriting cut with Diddy and Mace. And
So that's the move. That's the move.
yeah,
That's a great point because you did the work. I don't, as the coordinator or the music supervisor, I don't want to do that work, and I actually won't do that work. So the fact that you did that and you got the sample to the label and the publisher in advance, and they liked it and want to work with it, that's huge. You know what I mean? And I think that if you are going to go that route, like be the responsible adult and do the work that it takes to make sure that your track is legally safe, you know? So good stuff, man.
yeah, I appreciate that.
That's
Cool.
awesome. Yeah, yeah, that's a great point. And I've had a couple people reach out to me to help them clearance wise with that stuff too, and I do that for some folks. But I do it in advance of a license, so it's not during a time. And again, that's also to say, like, don't put your track up for consideration if you haven't done the legwork for that, you know, because the real long and short of it is you'll just never hear back from that supervisor because they'll be pretty pissed off that um, they took a chance on you and you burned them, you know. So
Yeah, I mean, I guess what happened for me is, you know, there was this new artist. My publisher at the time was trying to tell me, okay, you should work with this artist and whatnot. So
mhm.
then, you know, we got in the studio with her and we wrote this song. And then as a songwriter, I just kind of just stepped back and didn't really hear anything more. I just, you know, I think I had like a couple more sessions with her. To be honest, she was kind of annoying, so I didn't really give her too much time. But yeah, so then what happened is that maybe a year later, she got signed off of this song. I guess in the background, you know, Columbia reached out to Diddy and his camp and Mason with them,
Yeah,
and Curtis Mayfield, and you know, got the song cleared and whatnot. And you know, I had really nothing to do with it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So that's why I was saying, you know, like don't shy away from it, because some of these songs have so much gold in them. You know what I mean? So why
yeah.
leave the gold alone? Like just go for it. But as long as you don't try and upload it without any kind of clearance, then you're good, I think.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, the beauty of that particular instance is that there was a label making moves on behalf of the artist, whereas a lot of times as an independent, you know, first off, even just finding the contact info or hearing back from like a major label about something like that, it can be very hard. Or the amount that they're going to want, or they're going to want to control like 100% of your publishing sometimes. Just some like they'll put up some pretty wild parameters. So what I do say is that, you know, you can make all the music you want with however you want, but when you're doing it in a business capacity, which is kind of what the licensing space is, um, it's like when you write a script and you write a script about like Iron Man, you know, or whatever, or like some major licensed property. Like the odds of you getting that script, it could happen, but like the odds of you getting that script made m may not happen because you're working with someone else's IP instead of like the person that came up with this idea that's in, you know, unique and individual. Um, so like there's two components of it because there's a lot of people who make music with, or I'm sorry, make scripts with IP and they get it made, but it's a lot less likely that it's going to actually result in that, you know, in a sense, just because, you
Yeah,
know.
if you guys think about it this way, you can make all of the music that you want in regards to, you can make covers, you can make samples, you
Yeah,
can use other people's property, but it's so much easier. Just think about it this way. It's so much easier if you get those clearances beforehand. So Dayton, also congratulations on that clearance for you. That's amazing and awesome.
Thank you. Yeah,
very, very rare too.
Yeah,
and also just to touch on covers. Covers are great because they're a more affordable option. You're not tapping into the master of a song, which would be, double the price, and so sometimes, like for instance, there's like major companies that do like karaoke versions of tracks. That's a huge business model, and honestly, like with this day and age in trailers, the amount of folks that are doing edgy covers of like a Bee Gees song or something like that, like that's stuff that's actually getting into media, and it does help to have some representation, but you don't need to do as much to get that cleared to do a cover, and that goes for distribution and music licensing.
And get your songwriters agreements and your split sheets and all of your permissions in the background before submitting your music. Get those items, because it will be helpful. I guarantee it. There are some music supervisors, not all of them, but there are some music supervisors that won't even take your music if you don't have those things.
For sure. Yeah. Most of them won't. And one thing about covers too is you can't do MFN with covers. So the MFN clause that I was talking about earlier, if like for instance, if Johnny Cash does a track and you've covered it, and even if it's like I cleared this like legacy track that was like from the 70s or 80s that was a Johnny Cash original, or was a Johnny Cash version of this. So he wrote the track and Johnny Cash covered it, and still we weren't giving MFN to the writer of the song, that because Johnny Cash wanted so much money that we were like, we can't do that. You know what I mean? So just know that if you do covers, you're not going to get what Steve Perry from Don't Stop Believing is getting. If you do a cover of that, you're getting like way less. You know what I mean? But it's okay. It's going to be okay.
100%. Cool. Was that helpful for you guys? I know that was a lot of information at once, but throw a thumbs up if you found it helpful. Cool. All right. Alrighty. So we'll go ahead and move on to the listening session. So this is actually the fun part of our event. So for those of you who haven't attended our Finessed Media events, we do this almost every week, and it's so much fun. Honestly, when we do these listening sessions, it's like us sitting in the background jamming out, like, all right, let's go. And that's what we want this experience to be like for you. So we've chosen some people who have submitted their music. There's only one person who submitted something that couldn't make it today. So we'll play it and we'll do some feedback for her as well. But other than that, let me go ahead and just pull up the music. So I've created a playlist for Hunter and myself to listen to, and we've got some really cool tracks on here. So does anyone need to grab any water or anything before we go ahead and get started?
Yes, I do.
Okay, cool. I'll give you a second. Also, Preet, when I saw Dayton come on and I saw that it was your name, I was like, who is that? And then I remembered.
I was so embarrassed because he went into the chat and typed yo halfway through the
I saw that too.
It wasn't me, guys. It wasn't me.
All good. And then I think we have some other new folks. Dawn, hey, how's it going? I don't know if you can hear us or if you're just listening in the background. And we've got Iskrin. Welcome back, Iskrin. Hey. And Alliston, who I think went to go grab some water. Cool. We have a good crowd. I always love these Saturdays. This is the highlight of my Saturdays, as Tiffany was saying too. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, or share the computer sound so you guys can hear it. And what Hunter and I will do is we'll just go through some of these tracks and give some feedback. And you guys are welcome to put in the chat box on the side if you guys like it. hopefully everybody that submitted is open to some feedback. We do have one person who'll be performing live, who is GK, who went to go grab some water, but we'll go ahead and get started. So our first track is by Elsie, who is the birthday girl. Happy birthday! Woo woo!
Hey.
Happy
I'll be
birthday.
I'll be at your listening party.
Yes, right after this.
I knew you scheduled it like that too, so that you could come to this one.
I did indeed.
Thank you. All right, so Elsie is the first person we'll be playing. We'll be playing a track called Fast Life, and we'll play about 1.5 to 2 minutes for each track. All right, 1 second. Oh.
I'm here. I'm just trying to fix my speakers, so I'm good.
Okay, cool. All right, this is Fast Life. Give me just 1 second. Oh. It's just loading on my end, guys. Elsie, I've listened to this 3 times this morning already.
Okay, cool. That's better.
I'll also drop the link if anyone wants to hop on after, because I'm doing a little, I know a few of you guys RSVP'd. I'm doing a little like album listening preview, so I'll pop that in after.
Cool. All right. Let me just, I'm going to reshare this for you guys because it seems like my computer is not loading properly. 1 moment. Also, Elsie, I've been playing all 3 of your tracks over and over and over again. All right, let me just see if this will work this time. Share screen, share computer sound, and here we go. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, cool. This is Fast Life. If it will load. No? All right, give me just 1 moment again, guys. Here we go.
Just a missionary with nowhere to go. Like a rolling stone, just conquering the great unknown. From the habit of having nothing but road, blowing through signs, make it up as we go. Blink of an eye, and we're already home. Somehow I will never drop this high.
All right, that was Fast Life by Elsie.
Killing it.
Woo.
Where are you here? Oh, I see. Hey, yeah, great track.
Hey.
So tell me about what you did on the track, or your role, or a little bit more about it.
Yeah, of course. So I wrote the whole track, and then I worked with a friend in Sweden who is the producer, and yeah, very, very hands-on. I pretty much, I've been working on a bunch of tracks for an album actually, and similar process actually. getting into producing as well. So I produced like 3 of those tracks. But this one was
sing that track too.
Yeah, I sang the
Okay.
track, wrote the track.
Sweet.
So,
That's a great track. Yeah, I mean, I see a number of ways that could make it into media music. It really struck me at first like a traditional kind of 80s beat, you know, or like a synth wave type of beat, but then like it flipped a little bit. Like once the vocals kicked in, it turned into kind of like more of a pop, like a Taylor Swift-esque pop song. So I think uh, in that sense, it was really great because, you know, you kind of, when you hear that like 80s vibe, you're like, okay, this is going to be an 80s track. But like the way you twisted it kind of made everyone go, oh shit, this is actually like, you know, pop relevant, you know? So good job.
Yeah, I think you've got great pop sensibility. Like your writing is very
Yeah.
catchy, it's very melodic, and you know the production. You said producer in Sweden.
Yeah.
I spent a couple altogether. I've probably spent about a couple months out in Sweden, so I might know the producer. Who's that?
Yeah, no, he's probably not like in the scene
Oh,
as much. But his name's Carl. He's actually going to be in the little birthday thing I'm doing after this.
okay,
If
dope.
you want to meet him. But yeah, just some friends I met while I'm actually based out in LA.
Okay.
And so yeah, just met a couple people through being in
That's
it.
super dope. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, as what's his name? Is it Hunt? Yeah, as Hunt. Sorry, Hunter. As Hunter said, as Hunter said, like, I mean, it's very 80 influenced.
Yeah.
I love 80s pop. It's one of my favorite genres actually. But yeah, I think you did a sick job. Well done. Congrats and happy
Thank you
birthday as
so much.
well.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
That's
that
really
80s
weird.
style, that 80s style is like right up my alley too. So you kind of
That's weird.
Well, I'm gonna try to move through. All right, cool. I'm gonna try to move through these a little bit more quickly because we are a little bit short on time.
Sorry, I do a lot of rambling, so that's my bad. Might
That's
be.
okay. Hopefully it's helpful for everybody, which I think it is. And Elsie, you already know how I feel about your music, so I won't go too much into it. Next up, I'm actually, Dayton, since you're new, I'm going to go ahead and play some of your music if that's all right with you. Let me go ahead and share my screen and share my computer sound. Here we go. We're going to play Already Won by Dayton James.
I don't know why I catch you staring. I still know nothing when it comes to you. You build empires with what's so daring. So why would you fall just to let me in? You could have anyone, you the one, but look at you here in my arms, not going away. So let's take it somewhere. Oh, and oh, don't you see what you done? Stacked all the odds, a million to one. I bet it all do. I'm out of luck, but don't need to win. I've already won. Oh no no, already won. Oh, yeah.
Woo! Woo!
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Your voice.
I'm gonna just say you already won, friend. You already won. No, fucking crispy production is all I gotta say. Everything just like hits you. It's like there's an appetizer over here. There's like the main course. It's coming in, but everything like I think my doorbell just rang, but whatever. I don't know who would be ringing my doorbell. But yeah, it's very dynamic and like you're not overloaded by the different instrumentation and it all hits you in a nice digestible way. So good shit, man. And the
Thank
vocals
you
are
so much. Thank you, man. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I was also going to comment on the production. Usually you can tell when an artist, because it's not always just about a good singer, it's really about how it's mixed and mastered and how you put everything together. And so when I was listening to it, I was like, oh, I want to dance to this. And so that's usually when I know a song is good, is like if I can feel it in my soul. And when you hit that falsetto, I was like, whoo!
Is that your vocal?
Yeah, man. Yeah, and I've vocal produced it as well. Yeah.
Awesome, dude.
Thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that was really good. Cool. Thank you for sharing that, Dayton.
I'll drop the album link in the comments as well. Plug.
Amazing. Yes. All right. Next up, I'm going to share something from Bars. Bars, do we still have you? I don't know if I still see you on here. We do. Okay, cool. Bars sent something the other day. Give me just 1 second.
Yeah, please do.
All right. Here we go.
Open my door real quick. I think I know who that is. Hold on 1 second.
Oh, okay. Cool. I will wait. Did you guys get a lot of good information from this, by the way? You can.
All right, I'm back. Sorry.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Say yes now that I'm back, please. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes. Plenty.
Great.
Endless information.
Cool. All right. This is Clarity by Bars.
Clarity, 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 clarity. Okay. I done seen too many people walking edges, copy what they believe from the ones that let us. Life ain't really about all the silly letters. Been through rainy days, I ain't having brothers like to beat me up with a acapella. Problems stacking up, like be paying Tetris. I be having bond that get disconnected. I get too attached, get too interested. Couldn't pick up signs, couldn't get the message. I just get the cheese, I ain't talking cheddar. I'm a trendsetter, I'm a go-getter. Call you Stone Age if I'm rocking with your industry. Got sons who the babysitter. Y'all say drinking love, man, I want the liquor. I'ma just elevate, go figure. I'm B1 flourishing nigga. I done lost some people to a trigger. Struggles in my life kept growing bigger. I just bounce back strong, no tigger. Some people drink away their liver. I just go with music I deliver. I've had broken clocks, no scissor. People cut me off, no scissors. Oh, I just need some clarity. Oh, I just need some clarity. Oh, I just need some clarity in my life. Clarity. Oh, I just need some clarity. Oh, I just need It's a long road, it's a long grind. Am I moving forward? Am I always trying? That's what I asked myself about a million times. But I stepped back and I knew it's time. All of my angels that had to fly. Need some clarity on why they lost their lives. Sometimes tears still leave my eyes. Reflecting on moments, can't help but cry. Daily I try to utilize every precious moment in my life. If I ever did you wrong, I apologize. I just wanna flourish and I wanna thrive. This my clarity, are you hearing me? Can you bear me? As a priceless life, people cut me off and I'm talking nice. Surround myself with positive vibes.
All right, I'm going to stop it there.
Yep. It's a cool track. Are you here in the room?
Yeah, Bars.
I'm here.
Darius.
Tell me a little bit about how you made the track and what inspired you and all that.
Okay, so I'm in a very introspective room right now, just expressing based off of things that's been happening in my life, good or bad, just expressing everything. That's what Clarity's about. It's an album. The album's coming out December. This is the title track for it, and everything's just been really introspective. I made this when I saw I went to my high school and performed, and then after I performed, this kid from my high school who's like in 11th grade now, he said that he makes beats. So
yeah,
at first I was just gonna be like, yeah, whatever. But I told him to send me a beat pack, and that was one of the beats. So
tight. So it's like a youth project too. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I wrote for
really someone that, like this new generation of youth trying to come up in the game. Because when I was a kid, it was just like no one did this, So
yeah, exactly.
All these kids are like, I want to be a music supervisor. I want to be a producer. I'm like, what? How do you even know about that? But anyway.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Darius.
Sorry, Darius, where are you from?
I'm from Virginia.
Oh, cool.
I currently live near Washington. I mean, near Seattle. I'm in Tacoma, Washington.
Oh, cool. Sweet. I was just up there before pandemic.
Wow, it's crazy.
Darius, I actually really like that track. A couple of suggestions that I have for you are leave some gaps when you're rapping. Leave some gaps in between the beats.
Yeah.
Because that will help, especially if you want to get music synced. A lot of the times they're looking for those gaps.
Okay, yeah.
And then practice your breath work a little bit, because there were some points where I could hear in the track you lost your breath just a little bit. And so it starts showing when you lose your breath. And then other than that, yeah, I thought that the track was good. I would suggest a little bit of work on the production side, because I feel like your voice, I don't know if you feel the same way, Hunter, but I felt like his voice was a little bit high on the track.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it just a quick mix, I think, would be, or a match of the levels would be useful. But
Yeah, definitely.
but I
Like
think
on that
overall
hook
the
part.
track was great. I would say like it would be probably best for maybe an ad, but like she said, having that much lyrical content combined sometimes makes it a little difficult for sync purposes. But
Yeah.
the chorus was like really catchy and solid. What I would recommend in a situation like that would be maybe supplementing your vocal with like a female vocal or some other vocalist, so that way there's like a dynamic happening. But I think the vocal chorus was pretty cool though. Like
Thank you so
that
much.
would be where you'd find the sync, probably is in that realm,
It's crazy you mentioned female vocal, because on the actual album, this is basically what you're describing with like a female accommodation on a hook called Seasons. It's really catchy. So can't
Yeah, it
wait to
kind of
share
has like, for
everything.
me, it has like almost like a slum village vibe, or like that
Yeah.
Chicago sound is really what I was picking out there, but really cool.
Thank you so much.
All right, now we have a live performance from GK. GK, are you ready? Cool. Let me go ahead and unmute you. Oh, where did he go? GK, do we still have you? There we go. Go ahead and unmute yourself, and then we are ready for you.
How's that? Can you guys hear that?
Yep.
Okay, cool. All right. This is an original called Working Like Hell. Son, get your work boots on, 'cause you're gonna be working like hell. It's gonna hurt like a bitch more than once. You're gonna get cut up, blistered and burned. Deep down, deeper still. Get down, hunker down, get down, you dig down deeper. Dig down deeper still. No time for no working gloves. You're gonna get more cut, more roughed up. Dig down deeper still. Working life, feeling life, living life, like hell, like hell. your head up. Good thoughts, strong heart. And fly up out of here, out of here, out of here. Fly, fly.
Cool. Thanks,
There are
man.
other thank you. There are other parts, but I'm into respecting people's time, and so
Cool.
thank you.
Yeah, you kind of have like a dashboard confessional songwriting style. It seemed like, very, very reminding me of those vibes for sure. So cool, man.
Yeah, I could even see myself doing a cover on that, GK.
Thank you.
Have you recorded that yet?
No, actually, I haven't recorded any of my songs, but
Gotta get 'em on wax,
I was say.
You got to get them on wax, man.
Yeah. Before the pandemic, actually, I recorded a demo of a co-write, and then the co-writer decided to take it somewhere else. And anyway, but yeah, it was right before a shutdown, so I'm itching to get into a studio.
Nice. Cool, man. Well, yeah, it sounds like you have a good, some good songwriting sensibilities. So like building your team around you would be something I'd advise. Someone who can help produce you, maybe some cool artists to work with that want to work with your songwriting skills. So that's what I'd recommend.
Yeah, agreed. GK, I spent about an hour going through your songs and just trying to listen to some of your stuff and see what kind of feedback I could give you. I'd actually like to schedule a Zoom call personally with you, after, well, you're a member, so you get a personal Zoom call with me. But I think that you definitely should record. You have a great voice. I was getting Seventh Heaven vibes.
Yeah.
I'll have to check out that reference.
Definitely like a montage transition scene for a family, drama or something along those lines would be what I would get in that realm.
100%. Cool.
All right.
Thank you, GK.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
All right. Lottie, do I still have you on? I do.
Hey, what's up?
Hey. I'm going to go ahead and play your song. And Lottie, this was written by you, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, cool. So this is Baby Disaster by Riley. Can you guys hear it? Okay, cool.
Live Project X, do you regret? Took some substance, hope that you had safe sex. Where's half your dress? Are you upset? Lost your senses, hope they find their way back. You've been racing around and think you're moving, but you're going in circles, in circles. Said you got a remedy, but you've been drinking poison. It'll hurt you. It'll hurt you. You're just a baby disaster. Ooh, you're such a baby disaster. You're just a baby disaster. Ooh, you're such a baby disaster. You're just a baby disaster. Ooh, you're such a baby disaster. You're just a baby disaster. Ooh, you're such a baby disaster. Sent that drunk text, now you regret. Read your message, hope that he will text back. You so anxious and you're so high maintenance. Bed in sex, but damn it, you can't make it. You've been racing around and think you're moving, but you're going in circles, in circles. Said you got a remedy, but you've been drinking poison. It'll hurt you, it'll hurt you. You're just a baby, baby, baby disaster. Ooh, you're such a baby disaster. You're just a baby, baby, baby disaster. Ooh, you're such a baby disaster.
All right, I'm gonna pause it there.
Cool.
Ooh.
Track. That's a cool track.
Thank you.
I could see that
Thanks a
being
lot.
like you know, reality show or something like that, like Selling Sunset or something where there's like
Oh, that's fun.
hidden landscapes and stuff. So that would be what I'd see it in.
It would also be a cool
Thank
track to remix,
Yeah.
which is what I really like. I could hear someone playing this in a club and remixing some electronic music in the background.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit more about the track that
For sure.
like who's singing on it? Did you write it? Did you produce it?
Yeah, so the track is sung by Riley. This is actually her debut single, so it's exciting for her. It just dropped yesterday.
Congrats.
And this was, I'm in New York right now, but I'm based in LA. And so we wrote that at Ultram Studios in LA.
Very Los
And-
Angeles, I'd say.
Yeah,
Yeah, sunset
for
vibes.
sure. And essentially, what the song is about is that being like a hot mess of a person. And she was just like going through some stuff at the time, and she kind of just went in the booth and started freestyling some stuff. And so a lot of times when I'm working with artists and they're freestyling, I'm just like kind of writing like outside the booth, you know, any kind of verses or whatever that kind of mirror whatever they're talking about, and just kind of based off of the conversation I was having with her. That's how we were able to kind of pen that.
Nice.
And then later, I think a couple other people came in and sort of added their pieces to it. But yeah, I was there for the writing side of it.
Sweet. Yeah, the only note I would give, I think the song is catchy and has it's very syncable for sure. I would like in the chorus section, it's just the same phrase repeated over and over. So I would want something that like a second kind of like stanza or line that says like, you know, is the thing that I'm after, or something that just kind of completes the phrase as like a thought, you know, like it's like she's a baby disaster, but here's why, you know what I mean? And then have that be the chorus. So that would be something that
Gotcha.
that's the only thing I would really recommend, is just to advance the conversation in the chorus line a little bit more. So
Agreed.
Thank you. I appreciate that feedback.
Cool. We have just a few more. David, I'm going to go ahead and play yours next. Let me just go ahead and share my screen. And we'll be playing Only I Get Sad by David Diaz.
Am I alright? What hurts this time? Oh, I don't know why I cry sometimes. I go down in my emotions, not quite alright, but never broken. I'm just fine, unlike everybody else. 'Cause as far as I can tell, only I get sad in the summer. Only I get sad in the summer. No, I don't need a lover, I just need time to recover. Only I get sad and only I get sad. Am I alright? What do I feel inside my mind? Don't know why I try sometimes. I go down summer.
All right. Woo!
I got booted for a second, but that track was a bop for sure.
Thank you.
It broke my computer, so thanks, man.
That was a cool one.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It's very relevant. Firstly, you definitely had like it hit me on like a couple levels, like that old 80s, like 1980s kind of like depressed, like sad boy kind of stuff. And then plus chain smokers combined with like a new age 2020 like you know, I don't know, like is really cool. That's and in a pandemic and in a time when everyone feels isolated and alone and like during a time where like politically everything is in turmoil, like fucking on point, on the nose.
Thank you. It was actually, I had released it. So I wrote it in January, recorded it and mixed and mastered it in late January, released it in February. So it was like right before the pandemic. So it was good
So
timing.
like you just like hit a fucking gold mine, you know, based on society, essentially.
I got a lot of cool imagery while I was listening to it. I could imagine myself in the desert at Coachella. Just, only I get sad, only I get sad in the summer.
Thank you.
Now
Yeah.
The song is actually, it's so weird because before that, I was doing more like alternative R&B because that's mostly like what I do.
Yeah.
But I got bit by like an 80s like synthwave bug.
Totally, dude. Like, but it's weird because like when you first hear it, it's like, and it's the same for the Lily's track too. Like you're like, oh, this is gonna be like, you know, Blue Monday or something like that, and then all of a sudden it's like, it kicks into this new age. Like the way you wrote some of the lyrics have very like, if you took this to the chain smokers, like they'd be like, oh shit, you know. We'll take it. And
you could easily throw a female vocalist on the track in the background too for the chorus. Only I get sad in the summer.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure.
For sure.
That was awesome. Cool. Thank you, David and Amanda, for sharing that with us.
Of course. Thank you, guys.
Of course. All right. So this next track is actually by someone, Hunter, that really wanted to get their music heard by you and was really, really excited to get their music heard by you.
I hope I didn't disappoint them after this hour-long slog of a conversation, you know? Sorry,
She
guys.
actually couldn't make it to the event today, but she really, really wanted to be on. She just had class. So I'm going to share her song with you guys really
I'm glad she missed it, you know? That way, it's like the prospects are still good, you know?
Yeah, right. Her name is Melissa Engelman, and this is Waiting for You. Let's see. Oops.
It's
not playing.
I'm not hearing it yet.
Can you guys hear it? Okay, cool.
I'm waiting for you to do better. I'm waiting for you to be kind. I'm waiting for you. I'm waiting for you. It's been 5 days and I still can't sleep. I can't breathe. Scraping eggshells from my feet. I'm waiting for you to find peace. I'm waiting for you to hear truth. I'm waiting for you. I'm waiting for you.
All right. That was Melissa Engelman, Waiting for You. Woohoo. So even though Melissa isn't here, I'm sending her a replay of this. So she wanted some feedback from you. What do you think, Hunter? Oh, you're muted.
My internet's being fuzzy, so can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Cool. That's a cool track. I mean, that really gave me like 90s movie vibes, for sure. The first thing I thought of was like Empire Records.
Yep.
But I think that there's a way that that translates to a modern song. I think that there's a need for that, especially with like youth. Like there's like a bunch of stuff on Netflix, like youth dramas and stuff that like really hit the mark for. So great track, quality vocals, but also has like kind of like a timeless feel too, which sometimes especially when folks are looking for music of the period, but they can't afford like the Natalie Imbruglias of the world or whatever. You would go for a track like this, and you'd be a superstar because you're saving the budget and you're saving the production. So very cool, and there's a lot of ways that this can be used. So
Very syncable.
yeah.
And it reminds me of the Nora Jones times.
Yeah.
That timeless feel. That was a good track. Cool. Well, Melissa, when you see this, hopefully you like the feedback that you've gotten. You got a thumbs up from a lot of people. All right. We have two more. Sorry, Hunter. I know we're running over time. Do you have to get going?
No, I don't do anything anyway, so it's fine. It's the pandemic, so it's cool.
Cool. So we've got Alliston, and then we've got Iskrin, who will be last. So let me just share my screen for Alliston. Alliston, are you still here? Okay, yes, I see you. Let me just pull it up really quick. Alliston is fine. We're gonna play Wine Your Body. Ooh, I'm excited for this.
Take it really slow. Do a little bump and drink some more. Just another sweet and simple game. I don't wanna leave unless you leave with me. I love the way you wind your body. Know you're looking sweet and sexy. How you move that ass to the floor. Have a couple dimes, stay up through the night. Love the way you wind your body. Know you're looking sweet and sexy. How you move that ass to the floor. Know you got the time to stay up through the night. What you sipping on? What you drinking? I don't play no games. Been a minute. I'm just living up, only winning. What you saying? What you doing? What you feeling? It's the right time, yeah. It's the feeling. It's the right time, yeah. It's a giving. It's the right time, yeah. Let's believe it. It's the chance to lose control. I love the way you wind your body. Know you're looking sweet and sexy. How you move that ass to the floor. Have a couple dimes, stay up through the night. Love the way you wind your body. Know you're looking sweet and sexy. How you move that ass to the floor. Know you got the time, stay up through the night.
Love the way you wind it on me. Love the way you looking at me. You're staring at me. You know I want it now. Love the way you take me high. So pull up on me. Tonight is your night. We'll get it poppin' until the sunlight. Come get it now. Love the way you wind it on me, baby. Let me bounce it back on it for you, baby.
Ooh.
Nice. It's a great track.
Ooh.
That
Thank
that
you,
female
thank you.
vocalist is really good too, man.
Yeah. I actually went to high school with her. She was part of my my friend group, so it kind of
Sweet.
worked out really well. Like we're just
Dude, I just did the same thing. I went to high school with this girl, and she ended up being on The Bachelor, Listen to Your Heart, and I had done a track with her like 2 years prior. So like I'm about to release the track, and I'm just like, how weird is that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So cool. That side chain bass and kick is fucking nice. I'm just gonna throw that out there. So
Awesome.
did you
Thank
make the
thank
beat?
No. So it's one of my main guys now. Like I fell in love with like all of his sound. Like he really knows how to complement my sound, and my
Yeah.
album that I'm working on right now, it's going to be like heavily influenced off of his
Yeah.
producing. His name's
Good.
Chet Taylor. We actually met at a marketing, I guess in Toronto, like a manifesto workshop, and
Yeah.
we talked for a few seconds, and I sent him my music, he sent me some music, and I just ended up falling in love, and we end up doing more writing camps together and more personal stuff together, and now he's like an official part of my team now, which is really, really nice.
Nice.
And so
Yeah.
he ended up sending me the
Toronto's big on
track.
that. Toronto's big on that writing camp tip, or like the Canadian government puts up a lot of money for trade, is what they call it, to like bring artists out to the United States to encourage commerce for cultural education. It seems like, you know. So you should look into that, because a lot of times that can bring you out to LA and all that stuff, you know.
Okay, how would you go about doing that, would you say?
Well, it has to do with like the I think it's like the trade office or export. Music is considered an export, and Toronto and a bunch of other Canadian cities will get engaged with it. A lot of times it's through labels, but I think it's called SOCAN will do it, which is like obviously a PRO for Canada. I'm trying to think of the other company, but basically, CIMA, CIMA. Look that up, CIMA.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, but anyway,
Cool.
Canada's doing some cool shit.
Thanks, Alliston. I didn't expect the vocalist to come in like that. I have a lot of, I wouldn't say I studied Caribbean music, but I grew up listening to a lot of Caribbean music. And so when I saw Wine Your Body, I was already like, oh, I'm going to like this one. You got me dancing in the background. Love the way you whine your body. You know, I'm going to be singing that too.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Cool. Thank you. And then last person is Iskrin. So let me just share my screen really quickly. And Lily, I know that we're going to hop on to your call in just a little bit. So we haven't forgotten about you. But let me just go through Iskrin's song really quickly, and then we'll finish up. So Iskrin submitted, let's see. This is Vibe Chauffeur.
Hold me closer in the backseat of your mother's car. Know you wanna take it off, girl, you're a star. Hold me closer in the backseat of your mother's car. Take it off, girl, don't fucking stop. Nothing down the street, leave the kid in peace. Plenty loafers from your Jeep, but I keep it mean. And if I'm feeling 10, might just put you in my plans. Blowing up my phone, just can't get her off my dome. Hold me closer in the backseat of your mother's car. Know you wanna take it off, girl, you're a star. Hold me closer in the backseat of your mother's car. Take it off, girl, don't fucking stop. Ain't no time to waste, putting plans in place. I'm the chauffeur of the vibes, baby, wanna race. No, I'm doing swell, cotton candy caramel. Dog gon' need a bone, just can't get her off my dome. Hold me closer in the backseat of your mother's car. Know you wanna take it off, girl, you're a star. Hold me closer in the backseat of your mother's car. Take it off, girl, don't fucking stop.
You just had to do it with that fucking guitar at the end, just bringing more vibes to us.
Yeah,
Like,
man. Always super vibey.
that's tight. Very cool. Yeah, you definitely chauffeured us into some vibes for sure. Like, oh, man. You delivered us into good vibes for sure. How did you tell me about the track? Is that your vocal? Did you produce it?
Yeah, so I produce everything myself. So it basically just started with like a vocal loop that I found on Splice. Then I just kind of chopped it up, made the melody. And at the time, I was kind of just experimenting with like different drum sounds and stuff. So that's why it's like super, like I tried to use a lot of Foley in that, where it's like not traditional drum sounds, but still have that nice like groove to it. And yeah, vocals are me. Everything's mixed by my buddy Boris. So shout out to Bhavin as well for connecting us a couple years ago. And yeah, that's it.
Nice.
Isker, and I always hope that you come on to our events because you have such good music. Bhavin is always telling me that he's always trying to get you on, and I always hope that you come on.
Thank you. It's something I gotta work on to like do more of these events, because I'm not big on like social media and stuff. I kind of just rely on like word of mouth, just telling all the friends and stuff, and luckily like everyone's super supportive. But yeah, it's just like I guess since like February I started taking things a bit more seriously. Like actually kind of learned to produce a bit more. So yeah, just having a really good time and enjoying music and enjoying these sessions as well.
Where are you from? Where you live in?
Mississauga. So it's close to Toronto.
Oh, cool. Canadians in the building.
Yes, sir.
Nice. Is it getting cold up there yet or what?
No, man. It's like 18 degrees today. Well, for us, that's like summer weather.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. No, it's a cool track. The second that like grovelly ass bass synth comes in, like two seconds into the track, you're like, oh, we're going there. We're like fucking dropping in.
Yeah.
So cool. Good stuff, man.
Cool, man.
That was a cool track.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you. All right, everybody. So that wraps up our event for today. How did you all like it? Thumbs up if you liked it.
I'm gonna put in my Instagram on the chat here.
Cool. Yeah. Instagram is very helpful in connecting with people, by the way. A lot of people like to go through LinkedIn, but oftentimes, I don't like LinkedIn. I reach out to everybody on Instagram and Facebook. So
the thing is, like LinkedIn, I get so much spam from fucking like Nigerian princes or whatever at this point now. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'm gonna be not over here now. But yeah, feel free to reach out. I know you guys probably have some questions still, and if I just like connecting with people and you know, anyone who played music today, like you're all worthy and good of and better than me than in the music making space. So you know, I'd love to work with some of you guys, and you know, very cool. Very cool. All right.
Stuff. Cool. Well, thank you, Hunter, again for joining us and for shedding some light on the music supervision space, for also giving some advice in regards to what kinds of skills people should develop in order to get to where they want to be. And also just for listening to the music. I'm sure a lot of people appreciated it today.
Sure, yeah. And if you guys didn't play music or whatever, just send me some stuff in Instagram and you know, we'll get a chat started or whatever. So
cool.
Don't be shy.
Then last but not least, for those of you who are joining for the first time and haven't been a part of our community, we've been doing this.
Julius, are you talking about Ian from Arturia? Yeah. I'm actually sponsored by Arturia, so I'm gonna be doing a demo with them soon. But yeah, Ian's a good friend of mine. We
worked at Guitar Center together.
Really? Yeah, we're doing a beat battle. Yeah. Like we're producing a beat battle together soon. We were gonna do one in an in-person event in February, but it got fucked up because of the pandemic, and then so we're trying to do like a virtual LA one. So you should hit him up and fucking
no, for sure. Last time I was in NoHo, he was like, slide you to the studio, and I was like,
he just bought a place.
Jake Gordon.
Hunter, when you do that beat battle, can you send it to us so I can share it with the community too?
Yeah, we don't have a date yet. It's really a bummer because we were gonna do some really cool shit in person, but we've been kind of just like, what do we do? And then that Versus thing came out, and we're like, I guess we could do that, but we don't know if we want to. So we're trying to figure out the landscape. But I'm doing like a virtual music production demo with Arturia on the 28th, I think, Saturday. So if you guys are interested in that, I think it's free and it's on their like private Arturia user group. And if you guys don't know what Arturia is, it's like a music keyboard and synth software company out of France that they have some really great sounds and really great hardware. But yeah, anyway, yeah, Ian's a great guy. He's
Cool.
like head of marketing there or something like that. So
Cool. All right. So again, last but not least, for folks who haven't joined our community, you're welcome to, I'll actually type this in the chat. So our community has been going on for the last 7 months. So we started doing weekly events at the beginning of April and have hosted more than 35 events and have had more than 600 people on them. So our goal is really to provide a community for you to learn, for you to get your music heard and get some more exposure. It's also a place where you can get advice in regards to how to start up your business and how to go about like forming your LLC. We have some connections with lawyers that can help you in regards to like figuring out the legal space as well. And so a lot of what we do is based around where we know you're at in your space. And so if you join our community, that's one really easy way for you to get help wherever you're at. And essentially the different tiers are, it's $5 if you just want to come listen and learn. It's $25.99 a month if you want to get like some one-on-one coaching quarterly, if you want to get some free wellness opportunities, artist development opportunities. Soon we'll be doing some brand partnerships as well that some of the folks on our community roster will get a chance to be a part of. And yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff happening on our end, and we really just want to help you become better artists, managers, A&Rs, etc. So thank you all for coming. Hopefully you join our community and keep in touch with us. The link is on the side if you want to sign up. It's finessedmedia.mn.co. And you're always welcome to reach out to me. I'll also leave my Instagram in the chat. Any last minute things that anyone wants to say before we head out?
they're like, no, please let me out, please.
Yeah, right.
No, thank
All
you guys.
right.
Seriously though, it was fun.
Cool.
It was
Thank
amazing.
you.
That's all.
Woo. All right. Thank you guys. And if you'd like to join in for Lily's birthday celebration, the link is in the chat. I'll stay on until everybody hops off, and I'll see you guys next time. We have an event next week with songwriters, so I'll see you then. All right. Bye, everybody.
See ya.
Thanks,
Bye. Have a good evening.
Bye, too.